I thought that my wife of 7 years was missing, only to catch her cheating on me at a park and ride. Okay, so this happened on Father's Day, and it's been a shit ride since then. My wife did not come home from work on Father's Day. I became worried and began looking for her as she usually texts me if she will be late from work. I called her work about 2 hours after she usually comes home, and they told me she was not there. So I got in my car and drove the route to her work, looking to see if she had crashed or something crazy had happened. Her car was not at her work, so I drove the other route she could take home. I called the hospital, police, had her family involved because she was basically missing at this point to me. About 4 hours after she would usually be home, I got a text, "I'm alive." I called her, and she picks up and tells me she is working late, which clearly was a lie. She also sent a Snapchat message to a group I'm in with her sister that she was alive. This updated her location on the Snap map, at a park and ride about 15 minutes from our house. So I drove there, and there she was in the back of her coworker's car. Once she noticed me, we talked, and the other man just hid in his car. I asked if she loved him. She said yes. I asked if she was planning to leave me, and she also said yes. From this point, she has been living with him and only came back to our apartment the Wednesday after. We talked. Seemed amicable. Said she would respond to my texts and agreed to pay some bills we have. She did send me car payments, but that's the last I've heard from her since Monday. I'm basically being ignored now. So I'm living in this apartment we have lived in for like 8 years, slowly trying to dig out of all our shit. I'm really just struggling. It's been a really hard experience for me. I just wanted to share this story to get others' perspective on what my next move should be. I know divorce is obvious, but I'm not really sure how to move forward from this point. Any advice would be welcome. I know she did me dirty and I should just be mad, but I miss her and hope she is okay. My husband is cheating on me with my best friend. I'm honestly not sure where to start, so I guess I'll just start. My husband and I have been dating since I was 19 and he was 22. We've been married for 6 years now. We have 2 kids and I'm 6 months pregnant with our third. 2 years ago, I found out my dad has stage 3 colon cancer. My dad is my only parent as my mom passed away when I was 12. He's my favorite human, and life without him doesn't seem as colorful. His laugh is contagious and he gives these big bear hugs that seem to make all of your broken pieces feel like they're perfectly in place again. Whenever I've had a hard day, he doesn't poke and prod and just lets me vent and listens. About 5 months ago, we discovered the treatments aren't working for him, and in direct quote of the doctor, he said, "Months, not years." Since then, he's gotten progressively worse and now is losing memory. He looked at the dog he got for me on my 21st birthday and said, "Wow, that's a nice dog. Where'd you get it?" My husband has been my absolute rock. He has been there for me, holding my hand and helping me through this. He's been so loving and attentive to both my kids and I. Don't get me wrong, I'm a mother first always. I don't allow myself to wallow. My kids are still loved, cared for, played with, and I haven't let my load slack around the house. Once my dad got his updated prognosis, my husband encouraged me to quit my job. About a month later, we discovered we were pregnant again, and I still hadn't let go of my job. I kept holding out for some reason. After finding out I was pregnant again, he assured me it was still okay to quit my job, and that honestly, it would save us a small fortune on daycare costs anyways. So I did. I quit my job. My best friend and I have been friends since diapers. Her family is like my family and vice versa. My mom and her mom grew up together. We've always been solid. Right after my dad's appointment, when we found out he had so little time left, I drove straight to her house. She held me while I cried for hours. If there are soulmates in friend form, she was mine. Thick as thieves is what my mom used to say. This morning as I was up with my 3-year-old, he's sick. My husband's work alarm was going off. He has a few he sets, so I turned that one off and gently woke him up. He said he was up late working, so he took the morning off, rolled over, and went back to sleep. As I went to turn off the remainder of his alarms, I saw a text from my friend on his lock screen that said, "I'm assuming since there hasn't been an angry pregnant lady on my doorstep, you haven't told her about us yet?" Time froze in that moment. I took his phone and walked away and just read their conversations. For months, this man has been fucking my best friend. For months, these people have been lying to my face. And I know what you're going to say, you should have seen the warning signs. But I've been clutching this phone in my hand for 2 hours and nothing. He has been so loving and attentive to me, but he always has been. So kind and gentle. There has been no late night work nights except for once in a blue moon. There has been no lingering touches between them or even glances. They act as they have since the day I first introduced them. How sick is it that she calls him her brother, but she screws him? I know so many people get a moment of clarity in situations like this, but I have none. Aside from being sad about my dad, I haven't changed. I'm still a loving wife and mother. I still doted on him and my children. I talk to him about how he's doing and how is his day every freaking day. I haven't allowed the ground to swallow me whole. I know what I have to do now, but I just don't want to. I'm about to lose my family and my support system in one blow. I'll confront him tomorrow. Today? Today, I just need this last 24 hours of peace. As for her, I won't give her the satisfaction of a response. I don't care why she did it. She did it, and it's done. I was always the friend who cleaned up her messes. After today, I will cut her out of my life like she never mattered at all. This has to be the hardest storm I'll ever weather, but damn it, I know it'll sail through it. If not for me, for my children. A small update about everything going on since my kids are now in bed for the night. I spent the morning gathering everything I could and making a checklist. I sat in my office for the better part of the morning telling my husband that I was preparing things for my dad. Not a total lie, I did have to get him sorted with hospice today. My boss would be happy to have me back. However, my lawyer said pump the brakes on that idea for the time being. However, my old boss did tell me that whenever I'm ready, the door is open and to just give her a call. He does not have access to my inheritance from my father nor my mother. My lawyer insured me in that. I didn't mention her in the post, but my mother-in-law is an absolute angel. I love and adore her so much, and she's always been a shoulder to lean on. After he had gone to work for the afternoon, I asked my now ex-best friend's mom and my mother-in-law to meet me at my dad's house. My kids were outside playing with now ex-BF's older brother. I just handed them the screenshots, saving them from the unsavory pictures and sex tape, though I did tell them it existed. To say they were furious was an understatement, and they are on my side completely. Angie, my now ex-BF's mom, is ready to cut contact with her daughter completely. She kept repeating how sorry she was. We hugged and cried together. My mother-in-law told me she couldn't believe she raised a spineless, terrible human. That no matter what happens, I will always have her, and as far as she's concerned, she doesn't have a son, only a daughter. After an in-person meeting with my lawyer, we went over finances, logistics, and everything you could think of. She has all of the proof, and she's out for blood. With this post now on TikTok, I don't want him to find out by an app because one look at the story and he'd know it was about him. With permission from my lawyer. My ex-BFF, her mom and dad, my soon-to-be ex and his parents will be having a get-together tomorrow. By the time they're sitting down and showing them everything and that I know. My dad, my kids, and my ex-best friend forever brother, he's coming to help me juggle the kids and my dad. Being big and pregnant doesn't help with mobility. We'll be at my dad's cabin a few hours away enjoying time and space. I know a lot of people were hoping for me to get revenge or do psychological warfare, but honestly, after my kids went to bed, I took a shower and just broke. I don't have the strength or energy to dish anything out. I just want out. Pretending like everything was okay today was too exhausting, and I just don't want to do it. Once he finds out tomorrow, I'll update with aftermath, as I'm sure it will be huge. As for now, thank you all so much for your kindness, warmth, and support. Truly, your words have helped giving me the strength to keep my head above water. I appreciate every single last one of you for everything. Also, I emailed everything to myself in an old email I haven't used since high school and don't keep saved in my apps. That way if he goes through my phone, he doesn't find it. I'm not a very good liar or good at keeping a poker face. But since he woke up, I've just been using the excuse that I'm upset about my dad and just need space. He bought it. I called around for a couple of lawyers and found one before he woke up. So I've been emailing them back and forth for the last half an hour. Thankfully, we signed a prenup, and I've always been a very big saver, where he's always been a huge spender. So when I got my inheritance at 24 from my mom, I never touched it, and it's just been growing interest, and he doesn't know about it. I'll also be getting my childhood home when my dad goes, which I hope it's not for a while, but I know the kids and I can move in at any point, and he'd welcome us with open arms. Honestly, I wish you could see just how desperately she was pushing for him to leave me. Bad-mouthing me at every turn. He always shut down the bad-mouthing and told her, I will never leave her. You know your place. It made me cringe and want to throw up. Like, oh, you'll fuck my best friend, but trash-talking me is where you draw the line? It would be comical if I didn't feel like my world was exploding. My wife, 32 female, has been having an affair, and I'm broken. My wife and I got married in September 2018 after being together for 3 years. Right before our honeymoon, we bought a house together in Virginia, and after we got back, pooled our remaining money and time to completely redo her old starter home in Maryland and sold that in early 2019. We both work full-time jobs in Virginia. I make pretty good money. She makes even better money. My wife, let's call her Katie, decided to pursue an MBA and started last fall. She had an educational trust that her parents started for her. Therefore, didn't ask me for any financial assistance. However, because I saw how time-consuming the MBA was on top of her already large professional workload, I took it upon myself to take care of everything related to our still relatively new home, including dealing with contractors, managing all our bills, maintaining the house, taking care of our dog, purchasing/assembling furniture, yard work, cooking, cleaning, laundry, and hosting/entertaining her family that insisted on coming over at least 2 weekends every month. Lately, Katie had been unhappy with our relationship, complaining that I wasn't spending enough quality time with her and not making her feel wanted. I tried to argue several times that between her work and studies, my work and home responsibilities, that there simply wasn't very much time to spend together in general. We would frequently not even get to eat dinner until 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock at night. I would either need to bring her a meal to her home office, or we would quickly eat together. She would return to schoolwork to study or percolate in group projects/session. She would argue back that the things I was doing around the house were simply my responsibility as a husband, and that while she appreciated it, it didn't count towards me trying to maintain or build our relationship. We'd also been arguing a lot about other things, combined with the lack of free time, would be intimate maybe once a month. But after one particularly emotional and drunken conversation, about 3 or 4 weeks ago now, I vowed that despite what I already thought was prioritizing her needs, that I would go even further. I began to take off work. I, unlike her, still had to go in during COVID, or go in late/leave early. Stopped seeing friends, skipped workouts, and would even wait until she was occupied with something else to even take a shower. Also, I could spend as much available time as possible with her between her obligations. As a result, things seemed to be slightly improving between us. And now we arrive at last Wednesday. As per usual, I was making dinner for us. We have a tablet in the kitchen that I primarily use for recipes. As I was finishing up, the tablet began pinging nonstop, and I checked out what was happening. As it turns out, the tablet is linked to her Google credentials. I first saw an ongoing Hangouts conversation between Katie and a friend, discussing what to do about someone's wife who had come to our house that day while I was at work. Scrolling through the conversation history, I found more about Katie's lack of feelings for me, and the longing and dreaming to instead be with some guy, who we'll call Luke. Physically shaking at this point, I decided to venture away from Hangouts and open her Gmail, where I found several emails, going as far back as March, between her and Luke, calling each other babe, sweetheart, and my love. Unsure about what to do next, I first took screenshots of everything I could find, then stepped outside to call the only person with law experience that I knew, an executive at my company who I'd become friends with. He advised that I immediately confront her, but first call someone to come over to the house to act as a witness, in case things became physical, or if she might later try to claim they did. So I had a friend over in about 20 minutes. I confronted Katie, and she confessed to the relationship and admitted that they had been intimate several times over the past 4 months, both at hotels and in our home. Now completely distraught, I tried to maintain my composure and asked her to leave. She stayed at a hotel for 2 nights, then despite my protest, came home on Friday, stating this was her house too. She insisted on talking when she returned, and not having a witness this time, I decided to record the entire conversation on my phone. She tried to reiterate that she had been unhappy, but despite that, had been reaching out to her friends and mother about suggestions and resources she could use to help our relationship, even though I had suggested counseling in the past, but she refused. She tried to tell me that she made a mistake, that she had already broken it off with Luke a week ago, that I was the only person she wanted to spend her life with, and the only reason she hadn't told me about it was because her friends had advised her not to. She also said that if we truly love each other, that divorce was a mistake, and that we should be able to get through anything. I replied that love is worthless without trust, and then said that if she insists on staying here, to please stay in the guest room. Obviously free usage of her home office and the guest bathroom, but to please stay out of our bedroom/bathroom unless telling me first. So now I'm here, sitting in my house alone with just my dog. Her and her aunt/uncle/cousins are currently at our neighbor's house for a barbecue. They don't know about what she did. I can't bear to go over there because I don't want to talk to or even look at Katie, much less pretend in front of a bunch of people that nothing happened. 90% of me wants to get a divorce, but despite her feelings, I was very happy with the life we were building. We had even been talking about being pregnant by this time next year. But no matter what I decide to do, I know I don't want to make that decision without getting more information about what I can do, what might end up happening if we proceed, and I definitely want to talk to a few Virginia lawyers to protect myself. We only have one joint account with less than $20,000 in it, and the only asset we share is our house. So that's it. I'm sorry for writing so much. If you've made it this far, thank you for reading. I would really appreciate any and all insight, suggestions, or advice. I just feel completely destroyed, empty, and alone. Please help me. Edit. I am absolutely stunned and overwhelmed by the level of support you all have shown me. I truly can't believe that all of you would take the time to offer your advice, kindness, and wisdom to an absolute stranger. I am doing my best to read every one of your replies, and from the bottom of my somewhat shattered heart, thank you. This has been an unbelievable light in the darkest time of my life. I slept with my wife's affair partner's wife, and I am divorcing her soon. We got married almost 3 years ago. She started having an affair with her coworker 1 year ago. I got to know that because I saw his car outside my house one day. I had my suspicions. I hired a PI and gathered evidence that she was having an affair with him. I was angry. Then I got a call from the coworker's wife that she came to know about the affair. She only had texts they used to send, but I have all the receipts of their hangouts. Together we decided to confront them. We used to meet up a lot. She told me she had suspected his affair since her pregnancy. They have 3 children together. One day we had an idea that we should sleep with each other as revenge. We did, and not going to lie, it felt good. We have been meeting and having sex for a while. She is an amazing woman. I would say she is better at some things in bed than my wife. Mostly, I am very angry towards my wife, because in some of her texts with her affair partner, she and adultery partner made fun of adultery partner's wife, saying things like she has gained weight, her vagina was destroyed, and other disgusting stuff. I cannot believe that she would say something like this while being a woman. She even made fun of my fertility issues, saying that I am not a man because the chances of me having kids is very low. I do not feel bad about my affair. I like the sex life I had with adultery partner's wife way more than my wife. She hardly ever gives me oral but expects me to give her one. At least adultery partner's wife was more enthusiastic about it, and it was the best oral I ever had. Adultery partner's wife wants to tell her husband. I guess we are both tired about carrying out the revenge affair. We both got carried away. We were both so driven by the revenge that we got addicted to it. I will confront my wife soon. I already have the divorce papers ready. Since we do not have a joint account or marital assets, it will be easy for us. Adultery partner's wife might have some problems because they have kids, but she has the power to take him to the cleaners. I know I sound like an awful person, but I am already checked out of my marriage. I'm not looking forward to the confrontation. My wife, 29, of 7 years had cheated on me with one of her longtime friends in mid-July. I discovered text messages back and forth between them after getting suspicious and finally checking her phone. The texts I read were from a day after D-Day, about how good their sex was, I love you, and even discussing a mild fight we had where she recounted things I said and they both laughed about it. I tried to explain that we may be entering a new stage of marriage where we are comfortable and complacent. It might feel a little boring, but maybe that's just how things get once you're married for more than a few years. But she is convinced that is wrong and we've drifted apart, despite spending our days together full of good conversation, good sex, etc. She doesn't know that I know. I've talked to a lawyer and have divorce papers in the works. Note this is the second time she did this. The first time she cheated when we were dating. We had a 6-month split, worked things out, got back together, and later married. On the rare occasions we talk about her past infidelity, I've told her if she ever does it again, we're done. We've been fine for 6 years with no problems. About a year ago, she began getting a little colder and wouldn't accept my affection. Things like she didn't hug me back at all. I guess this distance culminated in her affair. Fast forward to today. I've known for 3 weeks and have been waiting for paperwork before confronting her. At first, she was clearly not interested in me, but this week she seems to be feeling more guilty about her actions and a little more interested in me. She has been trying to do what she can to make up for her actions in her own way, all without us never talking about it. Like washing dishes, cleaning, cooking, all while refusing any help. It's like she is punishing herself. In my mind, she has completely betrayed me, and I can no longer trust her. She has caused me such pain and cannot possibly love me if she is able to do all that. Financially, we have been okay, but struggled a bit because she doesn't want to work. She is finally working for a year, but it's a minute-wage part-time job and barely covers her bills. I feel like I have to pull all the weight, and she is not really my equal. At the same time, I still care about her, value the life we built, and will worry about what will happen to her. I think she could easily fall into a deep depression. There is really only one way forward, and that is divorce. But I am worried about how she will take it, and it will be hard to resist taking her back. I almost wish she would happily leave with her new person. I know I have to divorce her, but not looking forward to the heartbreak, loneliness, and whatever else I can't even predict. How do I do this? Thanks for watching. Please like, comment, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on new videos.